What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is day 2 of this build. As you can see, I'm missing a whole side of the car right now. What we're going to be doing is basically taking the other side off. This whole side right there will be coming off. And then we can start our build process, and I'll kind of show you what my idea of everything is. Like I told you in the last episode, I was going to do some research and try to find something that will kind of mimic what I want to do with the car, and I found something that looks really awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't quite get this on camera for you guys, but we're going to do the other side right now. Let's get right into it. Alright, so everything on this side, all the tubes that need to be cut are cut. Now it's time to pull this off. I'm sorry if it shakes here. Oh, there you go. Let me just clean your lens off. Is that better? All right. So it's crazy to think this is going to be a race car. Just nothing. Now I have to basically start deciding on what I'm going to do with this front bulkhead right here. I don't know what I'm going to do exactly, because I want to keep it as stock as possible right here, but I wanted to build my own dash bar and bring this over to here, because I don't want to build my cage off of this, because on my old cage it had the mounts, but I feel like this is like a shear point right here. So my plan is to essentially leave this shock bracket here and then just cut this whole top part off and then replace it with 1 inch and 3/4 120 wall DOM, and just basically rebuild that with the proper material. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna have to do some thinking. But essentially, so this corner tube here, I can't cut this off because it has a divot here for your drive line. Your drive line goes in right there. But these guys are going to get cut off, which are those are the seat base mounts. I did have to leave. This is the rear trailing arm mount and everything like that. And essentially what I'm doing is grabbing a piece of 1 3/4 tube and making that fit there and replace it all the way down with another piece of tube. And something like this, which is 120 wall 1 3/4, you go ahead and sleeve that in there like that, so that way this tube connects right back there, and then start building the car up from there. But my problem is when I run my tube going from here to there, this is like a 3-inch tube. I don't know what to do. My gut's telling me to cut this all off and redo it. But then something also is telling me you're making a lot more work for yourself. I'm going to think about that for a second. Alright, so after thinking about it for a while, took a little break, I think I'm going to leave majority of this the way it is. I really don't want to keep this right here, because that it almost like forces me to do the angle of the cage a certain way. And it's not a bad thing, but because I have these things, which these aren't the right ones, but it goes like that, right? As you know, the ones that actually for this cage are a little bit different, but but it forces me to put the cage at that angle right there, and then going up this way and back, which is fine. I honestly want to make this chassis as low as possible. So my last chassis, or my last frame, I was running the stock fuel cell in it, and from the bottom of the frame itself basically it was this high right here, plus the brackets, plus the seat. So you're sitting, the bottom of the seat is essentially like way up here. I want to drop my seat all the way down to like right there. So I want to go from basically a foot in the air down, slam down to the ground, to being maybe 6 inches off the bottom of the chassis. I want to keep that low. I want to keep the actual chassis itself as low as possible, because I'm going to be putting the fuel cell right in here. And I was kind of deciding what I want to do as far as this chassis, where I'm going to cut it, and I've been having a tough time thinking about, do I take it out of the front and then just move it forward, because it's a pretty, you know, open space here. There's nothing there. I could do that, which might make it easier. But in order for me to sleeve it, I don't really have much space here before it dips down. You can see how it dips down here, dips down here. I can essentially cut it, boom, here, and take this section out, moving everything forward. I don't know. Or so I can take this whole section out right here. So from this bracket here to this bracket to right there, straight across. Remove that, move everything forward. Or what I could do is cut out this section here. So from here, this is where the U-joint and stuff sits, right on there. So I kind of want to keep that the same, so I don't have to run into driveline issues. I already know that I have to make a custom driveline for this, but if I can just do, like, keep one stock or the stock length, and then just have to only piece out one, and it'll keep the cost down and hopefully be a little bit better. So what I'm thinking of doing is cutting out this section straight from this cross member here and this tube right here that holds the trailing arms and stuff like that. So if I cut it right here and right here, that's exactly 10 inches. So if I cut off this section, it gives me plenty of room to sleeve this all the way through, and I can put like a 2-foot piece in there. So essentially this guy right here, I'll sleeve that, and this will go in the tube just like this. Give it the added strength, because if I did it here, I only have maybe 4 or 5 inches of sleeving there and a lot more on that side. Just peace of mind. I'd rather have a longer piece than not, just to give it that there's no flex points in it or anything like that way, so it's just solid. Man, so much. Now that after I'm like, I have this whole chassis cut down, and I thought it was gonna be pretty easy to do. It is easy. I mean, not easy, but there's a lot of math involved. I don't math very good, but Decisions. But I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to cut out this section right there. Because if I cut off this right here to right there, I don't mess with the U-joint, and I can keep the stock front drive line going forward and then run from there back, and then just have that as a custom length drive line. Or I might have to just do a whole drive line custom. I don't know. I wish I had a 4-seat Turbo R to see exactly where it mounts and have that drive line. But I don't know. I just so I always look at Copart, which is where they have wrecked razors and things like that. A lot of guys buy them, and I always kind of browse to see what's out there, because I wanted to do that when I started this new chassis. I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy a wrecked car, grab the parts off that, and do it. But I got this chassis. I was like, yeah, whatever. Let's just get started. I can use what I have, and then whatever else I can piece together, because I'm gonna need, brake lines and hubs and A-arms and trailing arms and rear radius rods, all that stuff. I need a whole wiring harness, shocks, everything, which will be pretty pricey. So last night, or actually this morning, I got an email from Copart of a 2023 Turbo R4 that's going up for auction tomorrow. So I might put a bid on it, because this says it doesn't run and drive, and I guess it might have been stolen because the VIN numbers were scratched off of it or something, or they've been tampered with. So I don't care about that, because that frame is going to go in the garbage. All I care about is everything else that's on the car, which would save me a ton of money. Let's say if I buy it for $5,000 or even $10,000, I could turn around and sell a lot of stuff on there and make my money back. I just have to piece it out. Make my money back, and then use the stuff I need from that chassis, put it on this car, and do it. So I'm crossing my fingers. I don't have a Copart license or whatever it is. I know somebody who does, so I contacted him just here a little bit ago and say, hey, can you make a bid for me? So I'm kind of hoping that might work. And if it does, that'd be so killer. I'll have fenders, I'll have everything I need. All the little things that I wanted to put together and cost me a ton of money. I could turn around and sell this stuff. So I'm excited about that. I will keep you updated on what happens. But anyways, back to this build. So like I said, this is how I'm going to sleeve this guy right there. And then I have a piece of 1 3/4 120 wall that will go all the way down, meet this guy here, one tube coming up here, which I need to chop this off and figure out what exactly I'm going to do here to keep all this stuff nice and cohesive. I don't even know. I really want to rebuild this whole area with stronger material, because as you see, this stuff, I mean, this one's kind of thick, but most of it is pretty thin wall stuff. And this stuff is 120 wall, which is a lot thicker material, a lot better quality material than your stock frames. But my plan is to make this chassis as rigid as possible, and I'm going to do what I can to make it that way. Man, there's just so much going on in my head right now. This is a tough decision, but I'm excited to get started on this thing and figure out what the next step is. Probably going to have to chop this guy off next, chop these seat bases off, clean everything up, and then figure out 100% if I'm cutting here or not. It's a crazy decision to make. Like I said, I am not a professional fabricator. I'm not a chassis builder. I'm kind of just going off my head on this. You know what I mean? Hoping it works. Crossing my fingers. Hope I don't make a big mistake. So bear with me. Be right back. All right. So I have decided I'm going to keep this big tube here. I'm going to cut here, here, this tube here, this upright tube here, and basically pull this whole section off. Excuse me. So cut there, cut these uprights, cut those ones right there, remove that right there, and I'll be able to build off of that. I'm a fan of a flat dash, especially if I'm lowering the seats down 6-8 inches. I kind of want the dash to be as low as possible. So I think that's the best way to do. That way, whenever I come in, I could still tie into these tubes here. I was thinking about redoing all of this, but then I don't want to mess with the power steering, and this is the brake pedal, and you want that to be as straight as possible. I don't want to mess with it because it's in a good position now where I want it all to be. And yeah, I think it'll be a good idea. That way, whenever I tie this tube here from here to up here, it'll be a straight shot, and I can just tie it in, weld it into this guy here, and it'll clean everything up. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut those tubes off, cut these guys off, and we'll see where we're at from there. Wish me luck.
Longer than a few minutes later.
Jesus. All right, and just like that, that tube is out. So this is the tube that was there. Like that. Pull that off. So what I'm thinking, because this tube kind of just goes into nowhere, I might have to redesign this guy right here. Put in a new tube here to mimic this guy. Which shouldn't be a problem. You probably didn't have to do the same thing over here on this tube. It kind of goes here because I don't like the angle of all this stuff. Which, like I said, isn't a problem. You can do that, just bend a piece, put it in there, call it a day. But for the most part, crazy. I know there's some of you guys out there like, man, you're going through some great lengths to make this car. And yeah, I am. I 100% I pride myself on being able to do all these things myself. Just because I know if there's a weak point in the chassis, I know where it could be or it could fail. I know where I welded some stuff, and there's points I can check on the chassis to make sure it works okay. as well as putting the car together and doing all that stuff. Being able to do all that stuff myself is absolutely amazing because, like I said, I know all the bad parts, what parts could fail, etc. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited to get started on this thing. I guess I already have started, right? But the fun starts. The fun stuff starts once I start putting on the base of the chassis. These side rails go on. Then I just build up from there. The last thing I'm gonna build will be the upper half of the cage, because I gotta build seat bases and then see where my head lands, where my seat is. Then from there I can be like, okay, well, I want the cage super short, small, so that way I can measure out, have plenty of room for my head and stuff like that. But that's gonna be in a later episode. A way later episode. I'm excited you guys are joining me on this. I'm trying not to make them too long. There might be a lot of little short videos because obviously I'm going to do this throughout some time. Whenever I get some time here and there in the shop, weekends. So it might be broken up into a lot of things, but be sure to look out. If you're interested in seeing what I do with this chassis, be sure to tune in and see where we go, because it's going to be a good time. The most crucial part obviously is going to be chopping this frame down and making it shorter. That one's gonna be very stressful, but I'll bring you guys along for that. Hope you're enjoying these videos. Stay tuned for the next one. But that's pretty much all my time in the shop today. Just wanted to get that stuff taken care of. I'll probably cut out these mounts. I keep saying I'm gonna do it, but I haven't done it. Cut off those and clean up some stuff, and then I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned for this build series. I'm stoked to share it with you guys. Thanks to everybody for sticking around for me. I know it's been a while. Plenty more to come.